garden.
This is where you get to dream up all of the things you want and need in your garden.
Hello, this is the Midday News. Thanks for joining us. Parliament has been suspended to 2 p.m. this afternoon. When Parliament resumed this morning, Speaker Job Pomat informed the members that PNG Power will be doing maintenance work on the power supply to the House. He said while Parliament is suspended, the Private Business Committee will meet during lunch to deliberate on the motion of a vote of no confidence that was filed last week. This is the fourth attempt by the opposition to move a motion for a vote of no confidence against Prime Minister. This year's World Environment Day campaign focuses on land restoration, desertification and drought resilience under the slogan, "Our Land, Our Future. We are Generation Restoration." The PNG Conservation and Environment Protection Authority is in Lufa today to highlight to those in the Eastern Highlands province the significance of growing forest, reviving water sources and bringing back. From PNG Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, led by Deputy Managing Director Michael Bongro, are in Lufa District, Eastern Highlands Province, to commemorate this year's World Environment Day. The theme, "Our Land, Our Future. We are Generation Restoration," will be celebrated at the Kami Primary School by the team from CEPA and students of the school. Surrounding communities, together with government agencies and the provincial administration, have been invited to this occasion.
We have decided to bring the commemoration or the launching of this global event right into the Lufa district, where the people are, where our majority of our rural population is. They live, they are affected by the global climate change issues.
This year's theme emphasizes the message of restoration, in that people cannot turn back time, but they can grow forests, revive water sources, and bring back soils. This generation can make peace with land.
As a country, we experience natural disasters everywhere around the country, and largely attribute to the change in the global environment. So we feel that a lot of things that needs to be done to address those issues. But Papua New Guinea, being a member of the global community, we can do whatever little things, whatever activities that we can do to promote and provide awareness to our local people, so that in whatever little capacity, whatever capacity that they can contribute to addressing the issues of climate change by the community, that would be helpful to contributing to the achievement of the overall global objectives and goals.
Meantime, the official host of the World Environment Day 2024 will be Saudi Arabia, and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia will be host celebrations of World Environment Day at King Abdulaziz International Conference Center in Riyadh. The new Provincial Police Commander for Southern Highlands Province Acting Chief Superintendent Happiness Neely hosted a provincial inspection parade on Monday to speak to his policemen and women. The parade was hosted in Mandy Town in the presence of the community. PPC Neely said the purpose of the parade is to remind the police officers of the code of ethics, their responsibilities to maintain peace and good order, and what is expected from them in terms of performance basis. Neely said the parade was also hosted to officially announce his appointment as the new PPC for Southern Highlands Province. The Parliament went into a heated debate yesterday over Bougainville bringing the House to silence As member for North Bougainville, Francisca Semoso emotionally highlighted the plight of her people and once again made the call for independence. Various members of parliament, both from the government and the opposition, contributed to the debate, including the members of parliament from Bougainville. Prime Minister James Marape pointed out two major areas that need to be looked at regarding Bougainville's independence.
The House was quiet as North Bougainville MP Francisca Semoso took the floor, questioning why it has taken the Parliament this long to vote on the referendum results of 2019, which saw 97.7% of voters voting for Bougainville's independence.
It's an issue that you can deal with them in the most Melanesian way of doing things. You be behind him law way, stop long book law on him something or brata susablo me. All passing custom blow you miss have a sorting out on issue. Inside long one place blow you me inside long Papua New Guinea. Why you may not use him law too long time to sit down him good bail blow me for the last how many years?
Highlighting the huge contribution Panguna miners made to the coffers of this nation, she also expressed a dissatisfaction at the state of infrastructure in Bougainville.
Thank you. You by walking road blow me. You know walking road blow me. Try to bail hard by me got you. This la you must kiss it. Me no looking first floor wheelbarrow or first floor one is something iksana plong Boca Ring Road na sana plong Olgata Road go come plong up mid ba fight. Mid ba fight ya. Me no Mary Sipik blow you Mary Boca mid ba fight ya. You go start mo kata road blow upside na road blow me lo Boca na road blow me lo kata lo Bougainville. You must foul lick ya. Works Minister, thank you for support, Blayu.
While many members of parliament contributed to the debate, expressing their views about the referendum results, Bougainville independence, the constitutional requirements, among others, Prime Minister James Marape joined the debate to explain to the people of Bougainville the status of this issue. He stated that the main issue regarding Bougainville's independence is how to adhere fully to the 2001 Bougainville Peace Agreement and the Papua New Guinea Constitution.
We're trying to reconcile the voting result with the peace agreement themselves and the constitutional provision of Bougainville and the rest of the constitutional provision we have in our constitution. Mr. Assistant Speaker, Part 1, Section 2, Block Constitution, Bloyimi, I'm defining the sovereignty we have today. The sovereignty we have today that was casted and constructed before September 16, 1975.
He highlighted that the PNG Constitution, established before independence in 1975, defines the sovereignty that the country enjoys today, and a vote on it is a constitutional vote. He urged all MPs to think about the entire issue, as one day each of them will be asked to vote for this.
Now, me talking about Bougainville leadership, are you willing to accept the result of the parliament if we take it in? Also, me asking you, all members of parliament, are we willing to step into this? I want to ask all of us to step back and think about the entire issue in totality, and I have some issue that I must deal with. A question posed to us by certain provinces of autonomy.
Prime Minister Marape concluded by stating that Bougainville and PNG had agreed to involve a mediator to determine the necessary number required for a decision. Ruth Rungola, TVWAN News.
Cambrians are being urged to adopt pandemic-like practices amid a sharp rise in COVID-19 influenza and other respiratory-related illnesses. The spike has prompted the city's public hospitals to impose new restrictions on both patients and visitors. But health authorities say there's no cause to alarm.
Just 4 days into winter and some Canberrans are already doing their bit to keep from getting sick.
I'm just isolating and wearing a mask to try and keep safe.
We're not so much doing the embracing and the kissing and the handshaking. I've noticed that.
I'm staying inside more during the winter, so you're not going out with more people, you know.
With good reason. ACT health data paints a worrying picture. The first week of April saw just 13 patients with COVID-19 in Canberra's hospitals. Last week, that number had increased fivefold. For the broader population, the spike has been even sharper, from 42 PCR confirmed cases to 242 in 10 weeks.
The reality is, although the intense period of the pandemic is gone, COVID is here to stay. So instead of taking over, it's going to join in all the fun with the other winter viruses every year.
The latest strain is more infectious than previous strains, but not more severe. The rapid rise in cases prompted North Canberra Hospital to up its risk level from green to amber late last week. Today, TCH followed suit. That means masks are now mandatory, all unexpected admissions are PCR tested, and visitor numbers have been reduced.
We know what can happen if we don't take precautions, that systems can get overwhelmed, so we're getting in early.
Dr. Kerry Ost says this year brought an early start to the cold and flu season.
So we started seeing early cases of influenza, a lot of RSV, and a surprising increase in atypical pneumonias like Mycoplasma pneumoniae over the last month.
Her advice to Canberrans will feel eerily familiar. Practice good hygiene, stay home if unwell, wear a mask in confined public spaces, and keep vaccinations up to date.
I think we approach with caution, so protect ourselves, protect the vulnerable people around us.
Simple instructions Canberrans are well versed at following.
Some remote Northern Territory communities have been barred from legally accessing takeaway alcohol for up to half a century. But that could soon change, with the NT government announcing its roadmap for the rollout of alcohol management plans across the territory. It's a move some Indigenous leaders fear will only open the floodgates for further addiction.
It's been 15 months since alcohol-fuelled crime reached crisis levels in Central Australia. The NT government, under pressure from the Commonwealth, reinstated liquor bans in all communities and town camps, 6 months after intervention-era laws were allowed to lapse.
These are complex problems and they require a full solution.
And now, more than a year on, the government has revealed its roadmap for rolling out alcohol management plans across the territory, giving communities which have been dry for up to 50 years the chance to legally access takeaway alcohol.
We've got to get away from this paternalistic view of alcohol and saying to communities you just cannot have it.
The NT government has put out a tender for private consultants to help communities develop their management plans. More than 100 remote communities and homelands have registered interest, with about 30 moving to the development stage.
We need people to learn to live with alcohol.
Beswick is one of the NT's 8 remote communities already operating a social club. Leaders say it's helped residents learn to drink responsibly and stopped them from taking risky trips to major centres to buy alcohol.
It was mainly the deaths. People just started coming back in a casket.
But other Indigenous leaders fear communities aren't ready for the rivers of grog to return.
Putting remote alcohol places on remote communities is adding more fuel to the fire. It's an addiction and it's a feel-good because the person's been kicked in the guts all his life and the only way out of it is alcohol.
Mixed feelings on a hot topic in the Territory's debates.
The University of Tasmania insists it's still pushing ahead with its contentious move into Hobart's CBD, even as it grapples with a drop in international students and a need to reduce costs. The university is also contending with uncertainty about where a vital new academic facility will be built and who will fund it.
Shan Yu moved to Hobart from Taiwan to study for a Master's in Business Administration.
I really prefer the weather and the people here because people is really friendly in Tassie.
But she says a proposed federal government cap on the number of international students has her friends worried they won't be able to do the same.
They are pretty worried about if they could apply the visa before the new legislation starts.
The University of Tasmania is tightening its belt ahead of the change.
When we've had a big loss of international students, we've got to manage our costs really carefully to get through that period.
And while it's consulting staff about a hiring pause,
when you're choosing between slowing down recruitment or redundancies, many universities are choosing the redundancy path. We're not.
It says it's still pushing ahead with a move into the Hobart CBD. But we'll listen to staff about whether a new science, technology, engineering and maths building should be at Sandy Bay instead of in the city.
They are the ones best positioned to be able to provide advice as to what the right facilities are. We will completely respect where they get to.
Recently, the government's taken a tougher line on the university's city move, promising during the election to block any sale of the Sandy Bay campus, and last month saying it wants the STEM facility built at Sandy Bay. Today, it was much more circumspect.
We'll do everything that we can to support federal investment into the University of Tasmania for newer and improved facilities to support course offerings, particularly in those areas of workforce demand.
A university with a clouded future.
Brisbane Broncos captain Adam Reynolds paid a special visit to DigiShell headquarters this morning to meet the DigiShell CEO and staff. Reynolds was accompanied by Broncos CEO Dave Donarchi and club representatives including fellow players Delois Huerta and Ryan James. Reynolds' visit is part of an existing BSP community partnership with the Brisbane Broncos, who shared similar core values and community commitments. The team arrived on Monday to launch the bank's 2024 financial literacy, which targets school-aged children and it's part of their community initiatives. This is the second time of the Broncos captain to visit PNG, which is always an overwhelming experience.
You know, all the way through to the school visits, to see the smile on the kids' faces, the loud cheers, it's been quite overwhelming. We obviously don't get that sort of reception back in Australia. We know the impact that we do have here in PNG, and for us to you know, align ourselves obviously with BSP and have the opportunity to come over here and spread the message of financial literacy is amazing. We're lucky in Australia where we have the opportunity to get taught that sort of every day in our lives, whether it's handed down from our parents teaching us or through the school system. So yeah, to obviously have that impact over here and spread that message is you know, remarkable. It's an honour to be here.
As is always the case with State of Origin Game 1 of the 2024 series, promises to be nothing short of an intensely physical encounter. New South Wales coach Michael Maguire has ushered in a new era for the New South Wales Blues with his selections, initially naming 6 debutants in the Maroons camp despite Cameron Munster's absence after a growing injury and David Fifita's shock omission. Queensland possesses more than enough firepower to trouble the Blues.
New South Wales debutants Dylan Edwards, Cameron McInnes, Joseph Swali, Zach Lomax, Spencer Lanu and Hamole Halakuatu are entirely new spine for Game 1. Maguire has made no secret about the character he wants his side to possess, with hard work and physicality a defining quality of many of the new faces in New South Wales squad. The state's back five are physically imposing and tireless, particularly coming out of their end. Tedesco and Brian To'o are the 2 best yardage outside backs in the NRL, while Lomax, Stephen Crichton and Swali are the big bodies averaging over 100 running meters per game. In the forwards, captain Jake Chubojevic and Cronulla Sharks middle McInnes personify everything Maguire desires from his Blues: hardworking, industrious and deeply passionate. Meanwhile, New South Wales' 4-forward bench is as powerful as they are skillful. Standing in the way of a Blues series opener victory is a typically formidable Queensland side. Star hooker Harry Grant is always a nuisance around the ruck, while Hemiso Tabuai-Fidow and Rhys Walls have the pace and flair to break the game open from anywhere on the field. A potential headache for the Blues resolves around Slater's use of 7 Kobo off the bands. In previous years, the likes of Kellen Ponga, Daly Cherry Evans and Cooper Cronk have featured off the band for Queensland. Kobo will be no different. For both sides possessing new-look halves combinations, points will be likely to be at a premium, as always the case in Game 1. This could make for a game of attrition, lacking the quickened tempo fans have grown accustomed to in the modern NRL, with sides prioritizing tightening defenses in the series opener. Terry Longwood, TV1 Sports.
And our news update ends there. Do join us for more at 6 tonight.